Hi and welcome. I am going to be doing a Q&A, a little bit of an intro if you're new to my channel, and an update of just where things are at. So if you've been on this channel for a while and you want to skip my intro, I'm going to leave in the description of the video like timestamps so you can skip over things that you don't want to hear to make it a little bit easier. But I did notice that there's 12,000 of you on this channel now, and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that you're here. And if you are new, I wanted to do an intro because I realized I don't have like an intro on my channel at all anywhere. So who am I? So my name is actually supposed to be pronounced Adriana. That's what my parents intended my name to be named as. But over the years, I've just gotten used to saying Adriana because a lot of people can't pronounce Adriana. But I don't mind either way. I totally okay with however you want to say my name. I'm originally from Mexico. I was born in Guanajuato, Mexico, which is central Mexico. I grew up very like in a village. We had no indoor plumbing. We didn't have any potable water until I was like 5. We cooked in like wood fire stoves. My mom did have a gas stove, but we still use wood fire stoves a lot. That's pretty much where I learned all of my like rustic Mexican cuisine is because of my mom and the women that I just grew up with. And I didn't know at the time how valuable the information I was gaining from them was, but that's where I'm originally from. I moved to the US when I was 8 years old. I went to school here, went to college here. I did not go to college for culinary. I went to school for business. And then I went into the corporate world and decided I hated it. And it was when I started just like experimenting with things and I realized I love cooking. And it was exactly what I should have been doing from the get-go. It was what I loved when I was a kid. I loved being in kitchens. I loved learning from my mom. But I didn't realize that because I was a really good student, and I think everyone just kind of like pushed me towards like the things that are supposed to be successful when you're like good in school. So I was in New York. I moved to New York when like a year after I graduated from college. And it was something like I always wanted to do. I wanted to live in that city. It was just, it like drew me to it. And I loved being there. I was experimenting with food and I was encouraged to go audition for the show MasterChef. I found myself constantly watching MasterChef and like all of the Food Network and like, all the cooking shows. And I went on it and I made it through like 40,000 people that auditioned that year onto the cast of MasterChef. I did not win MasterChef, as like you probably already know, but it was such a cool experience. That's where I got to learn some technique stuff that, you don't learn or that you would have learned if I went to culinary school. And then after that, I actually started this YouTube channel briefly after that, but the intention, I don't know if you guys know this, if you've been here for a while, you may not even know this, but the intention of this channel was just kind of to create a portfolio of the food that I could do. I really like wanted at that time, I would have loved to have my own show on like the Food Network or PBS, just because I was so inspired by Rick Bayless at that time. Like he's still one of my favorite chefs and his show on PBS that he used to do. And it wasn't really my intention to just have a channel for people because at that time YouTube wasn't like really a thing. It was just kind of like where you shared things, but it wasn't something that I don't know, like it just wasn't like something that people were watching that much. It was still very much when people were watching TV, so much more than YouTube. And so then it got really difficult in New York to have kitchens to film in. And when I had my daughter, it just became really difficult to find kitchens and to film and all of that. And I decided, you know what, this isn't the time for me to be doing this. I pretty much went away from that. And during that time, I was also doing private chef stuff. So my actual like career part of culinary was more in doing like private dinners and things like that. And then I took some time off from that. I was doing other things. And then during COVID time, I started doing online cooking lessons, specifically for companies. And that's when it kind of just inspired me to start sharing these recipes with the world. And that's when I realized, you know what, like, even if there's just one person out there that watches this, like, it's so important for people to know how to make food for themselves. And honestly, I got really tired of how do I say this? Like, I got really tired of doing things for people. Like, I didn't find like inspiration and satisfaction in me doing food for people when they could be learning it themselves. Like, there's just something so much more valuable when you learn how to make something than just like going and having someone do it for you. So that's when I shifted like my whole mentality about food. And I feel like it's when I really found like, what do I want to share with the world? And it's really this. It's these rustic, beautiful recipes from my ancestors that I get to show you how to do it rather than me just preparing it for someone that wants to have a fancy dinner with friends. It brings myself so much more satisfaction when I know that you can go home and make that over and over and over again and like share it with others, and it can be good for your body. And I don't know. So that's kind of my evolution of to like where I started and what this channel is about. And I cook a lot of food, a lot more than just Mexican food. So you are starting to probably see on my channel some other recipes that are non-Mexican food. And I'm loving sharing that with you too, because I love all kinds of food, not just Mexican food. And I enjoy making all sorts of different fusions. I enjoy making food that's healthy and delicious and full of flavor. And I want you to be able to make that at home. Or maybe even just like get inspired and make your own version from it. So that's a little bit about me if you're new to my channel. I'm going to get into the Q&A. And before I do that, I just want to share this with you. Some of you know that I've been working on the cookbook. And I am so excited because the cookbook is like, what would you say, like 90% done? I would say like 90% finished. And it's like, it's about to be ready to be published. And I am just like, I'm so excited. In the next video, probably next week, I'm going to share with you more details of what the book is about, because I haven't actually shared that. So stay tuned for that. But that was like my big announcement that I wanted to make to you. It is almost here and I am so excited. Thank you for those that have been so patient. If you want to make sure that you get notified when the book goes live and published for you to be able to get it, whether it's on ebook form or a physical beautiful form, I'm gonna leave the link in the description so you can sign up to the newsletter. I don't send newsletters, guys. I really don't like sending emails to people of like random things. I'm gonna be using that newsletter just specifically to let you know about the book. So make sure to sign up for that so you don't miss the release of the book. I know social media these days, even if you're subscribed to the channel, even if you have notifications, sometimes things just kind of get missed because there's just so much being bombarded at you. So make sure you get on that so that you don't miss it. It'll come straight to your email box. Okay, so now on to the Q&A. So I asked questions on Instagram and YouTube. So I'm gonna choose a couple of the questions. Okay, and I have my phone because obviously I have to like read them off. So this question was, what is your favorite dish among all of the dishes that you're making? And it was as of lately. Ooh, that's a hard question. But I think it's starting, if you don't know, I don't live in New York City anymore. I moved to the Southwest, so I'm living in Arizona now. So it's really hot here already, even though it's still not officially summer. We're already getting into like 100-degree days every now and then. It's really beautiful, I love it. But because it is getting so hot, I would say I'm opting for things that are more fresh, salads, things like that. And as of lately, I think the dish that is being requested the most and I'm enjoying making a lot is these mushroom pitas. Oh, you guys are so good. So they're made out of mushrooms. I'm making my own pita bread because I finally got into sourdough making. So these are sourdough pitas that are super fresh, like coming straight off of like my comal. And then these mushrooms, I'm adding a couple of spices to kind of make them like, oh, I'm gonna butcher this. Please excuse me, I'm gonna say this so wrong. Shurma? Oh my gosh, shurma? Sure, I can't say that word, you guys. But basically, like, imagine that. And then the mushrooms are like that. And then I'm putting in a fresh cucumber, tomato, onion, cilantro salad. And then I'm using coconut yogurt with lemon and garlic. And that's like my white sauce on top of them. And they're like to die for. They're so good. And they're being requested in my home like at least once a week because they're so good. And they're just fresh and delicious and like a bomb of flavor. They're so, so good. So that's probably what I'm enjoying making the most at home. This question was about the weekend, but by the time you're getting this, the weekend will be over. But any plans for my weekend? I honestly, we kind of been, because of the book and keeping up with the channel and sharing recipes with you guys. And if you don't know this too, I also homeschool. So I have my hands really full. I feel like I haven't had a proper weekend, like full 2-day weekend in a long time. But what I look forward to on the weekends mostly is having a little bit of time to read and having a lazy morning where like I can just have coffee and a book, and then maybe now because it is hot, swimming. So those are usually like the things that I plan for on the weekend, even though I'm working to some capacity. Like today is Saturday as I'm filming this for you, and I'm working. So, but it's fun work and I'm not complaining, but my weekends have impact. Okay. Next question. What do you eat during the week? So if I'm going to leave a link to all of my videos that are what I eat in a day, I think I have 2 or 3 by now. I can't remember how many have been published by now. And I just filmed another one a week ago. But in regards to what I eat in a week, this might surprise some of you, but I don't eat Mexican food every single day, all the time, 24/7. It is my favorite cuisine, but I love experimenting with food and I love eating different kinds of food. Because I eat so clean and I cook so much, I cook about 95% of our meals. Like we're down to eating now maybe once a week. I mean, literally like once a week. So because I cook breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks all the time, 24/7, I need to make it fun and work for me. And in order for me to do that, I need to be playing with different cuisines. So throughout the week, I just cook whatever is inspiring to me. I have a list on my phone where I put in all of the things that I feel inspired based off of the ingredients that I have. And I don't have it like super labeled, like I'm going to cook this on Monday and Tuesday, because that's not fun for me. I have it labeled so that it's just the food. And then that day I look at it, I'm like, what sounds fun for me to make today? And then that's what I make. But to make it simple, it's kind of hard for me to answer this question because I eat so many different things. But what I eat and what I focus on eating is foods that are really clean, low on sugar. I used to omit as much gluten as possible, but because I've gone into sourdough making lately and my stomach's actually been responding well to it, I'm eating some bread, but it's like bread that I'm making, whether that's sourdough like sandwich bread or a really nice boulet of sourdough. But we try to not consume bread from like outside sources. So focusing on eating really clean, focus on eating really low sugar. And if I do have to have sugar, it's probably going to be like honey or maple or fruit and organic. So I think that's like the main part of it. And water, like having as much water as I can, just because it's so important. And then from there, I just create different cuisines. I love learning Asian food, like how to make Asian food, because it's not my specialty. My specialty is Mexican rustic food and plant-based foods. Like anything veggie, I'm like, that's my specialty. And I love experimenting with Asian foods. But yeah, so during the week, I eat as clean as possible, low sugar, low gluten from outside sources, and organic foods that are just really healthy, nutritious, plant-based. Whole foods is our focus. I hope that helps you to answer that. It's kind of hard again for me to answer because it's a mishmash of cuisines within that that focus of eating clean and whole foods. I hope that made sense. This question said, what is the hardest dish for you to make? That's a hard question. That used to be bread. I've worked over the last like 5 years on learning how to make bread well. Bread, I feel like it's alive, and I didn't understand its language. And every time I made bread, it was like crusty, hard, like just horrible. So I feel like I finally like got into making really beautiful bread, and I'm so proud of myself. So that used to be the hardest dish for me to make. These days, I don't know if there's like one dish, but in general, Chinese food is really hard for me to make. And I think it's because I've never learned actual Chinese food from like a really good firsthand source. I feel like most of the things I think I know how to make are from like the internet. And I'm being really honest with you. I see this with Mexican food. Like a lot of things on the internet are not classic, like traditional Chinese ways of making food. There's a lot of corners being cut and stuff. So I don't understand a lot of the ingredients the way that I wish I did. And I see this like with Mexican food, right? So yeah, I think just Chinese food in general is probably my most difficult thing to make, because I think pretty much everything I know how to make is probably super Americanized and not true to what it is. So yeah, I would say Chinese food. The next question is, what are your favorite non-Mexican dishes? Oh, okay. It's hard to name just, one or two dishes, but I'll do my best. But in general, I would say that right under Mexican food is Asian food for me. And like, I mean, like all types of Asian food. And then if I had to name like one cuisine that I would probably pick over one of them, it would probably be Japanese food. And I don't mean like American Japanese food, but like traditional, like home style Japanese food. I've only gotten to taste, so much of it. Obviously, I don't live in Japan, so I can't speak for all of Japan, but the foods that I've tasted so far, like I just love, especially when there's that influence of like the Buddhist monk plant-based foods, which I'm forgetting the name of that style of cuisine, but like it's like a whole thing in Japan, right? The Buddhist monks, they have this whole style of food that is plant-based because obviously they don't want to harm animals and such. And it's been around for like hundreds of years. I don't know the exact dates, but I'm pretty sure it's like hundreds of years. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it's just so good. And there's a restaurant in New York City that I used to love going to. Obviously, I don't live there anymore, so I don't do it. But they had two dishes that I can like think of that, they were like everything to me. It was just like the most comforting food. One of them, they called it, I think it's just yasai nabe. And I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, so I'm sorry. But it's vegetable soup. So nabe is the pot, the clay pot that they usually like serve these dishes in. And the yasai, I believe, means vegetables in Japanese. So it's this hot pot, which is essentially a soup with veggies and tofu. And it is so, so simple. Like, it's a very clear broth where they just allowed all of the vegetables to just marinate and marry each other, and they would serve it with like the some of the best like Japanese rice I've ever had. My mouth is watering. And then they would have like these pickled vegetables next to it, and this um in the fall time, the Japanese style of a pumpkin, the kabocha. And oh, it was just everything I wanted, especially like on a cold fall winter day. It's one of the most like delicious soups I've ever had, and it reminds me so much of like cooking with fresh vegetables in Mexico when I was a kid, and how if the vegetables are really well taken care of and let to do their own thing. Like you don't need that much to eat. So that is one dish that like I absolutely love, love, love. They also have this other dish where it was vegetables that were like quickly fried, like not deep fried, but they were basically just steamed and then flash fried. I think that's the style that you call it. And then they would put this Japanese style sweet and sour, very different to Chinese sweet and sour. But oh my goodness, like the flavor of that, I've been trying to recreate it every time, ever since I don't live in New York City. I've been trying to make that here and I cannot get that flavor. It's come close, but it is nothing like how they do it. And I'm sure that there's like an ingredient that I'm missing. I really wish I could make it that way. And I don't think I mentioned the name of the restaurant. This restaurant's called Otto, yeah? It's a restaurant that it's supposed to be like home style Japanese food. They are originally from Japan, but they have several locations in New York City. And then I think they have a location in Canada, somewhere else. I forget where. I wish they were all over the world because it is so good. It's so good. It's like just the most comforting food. Other like non-Mexican dishes that I love. I mean, there's just pretty much anything Asian food. I am always open and willing to taste it. There's just so many things that are so good. And I think especially because like in Asia, there's a lot of vegetable forward dishes that have been that way for hundreds of years, you know? So I think they just know vegetables so well, and that's why I love them. On a regular day, like or a week, if someone's asking me like, let's go out to eat, I would probably be choosing like if it was my choice, I'm probably choosing a place that has salads, soups, smoothies. I don't think that's Mexican at all, right? I mean, I don't even know what that is. Is it American food? I guess so, right? Like are we the ones that got soups and sandwiches and smoothies on the menu? That's probably what I'm choosing. Like a really good, fresh, packed, like salad is so good to me. And then other than that, I mean, you can never go wrong with like a really good pasta, right? Like a really simple, like handmade pasta with like homemade sauce. Like you just can't, right? Like I love that. Like I wish that there was more restaurants that were like the way that a grandma cooks in Italy. Like, oh, I would love that. Which I'm still looking for, you guys, because I feel like in the US we don't have that much of that, right? Like everything's so Americanized. I don't know. All right, next question. What dish I think, oh, what's a dish that you never eat or make? And I asked, like, is this specific to a cuisine? And they said just in general. Um, I mean, I think that's easy. I don't make anything with meat, right? Like that's really easy. Um, I sometimes use dairy, like not for me, but in my household because I don't live alone and not everyone is dairy free. So I do sometimes cook with that, not for me, but never eat would be meat 100%. I stopped cooking. There was a point where like I was a private chef when clients would ask for meat that I did still cook with meat. But there was a point where I decided no longer do I want to work with this because I'm still supporting the industry. So I just decided not to. So I haven't touched meat in many years. I think, I don't remember the exact date I stopped, but it might be like 8 years. I don't know. 7 at the least. 7 years at the least, something like that. So definitely not that. And then if you're thinking like, I'm trying to think like in Mexican food to make it more fun for you guys, if there's a dish I never eat or make, like obviously any meat dishes I don't make, but oh man, I don't know. I like a lot of things. Like I'm not picky. I used to not like olives, but I'm starting to like them because my little one loves them. So I'm learning to like them. That's really hard for me to think. I mean, yeah, other than me, I experiment with a lot of food. Like I said, it's fun for me to just be learning different things. I try to avoid gluten, like I said, but I still sometimes have it, especially now that I make my own sourdough stuff. So yeah, I think that would be it. I really stay away from fried foods. It's just like not something I want to be consuming, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. I think that's the only thing I like never. When I say never, it would be meat. That's it. Next question. What are you most excited about this summer? Ooh. Honestly, oh, I'm gonna say two things because I'm equally excited about both. The first one is the book. The book to finally be out for you guys to finally be able to see those recipes and have them and work with them. I'm really excited. I really hope that you love it. Um, I'm excited to talk to you about it in the next video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I would say the book being out. And the second thing that I'm most excited about, this is the first summer that we have a pool in our home. I didn't have a pool last summer, and I'm just really excited to like swim. When I was a kid, my parents had a pool in our like the second home that we lived in, and it's Arizona. Like a lot of homes have pools, right? Like you kind of have to because it's so hot here. Um, and I loved it. Like I love water. I don't know. I don't really subscribe to like astrology, but I guess I'm a Scorpio and that's a water sign. So maybe that's the reason I'm so called to being in water a lot. And it's something that I really missed when I was in New York. I hardly ever had the opportunity to swim. So I'm just really looking forward to finally like swimming a lot. I think you can kind of tell, like I've been swimming a little bit already and I'm getting really tanned, but I'm just looking forward to those like really, really hot days when I can just go in the pool and it feels so good and be a little lazy and like calm and away from my phone because obviously you can't have a phone in there and stuff, you know? I think these are all the questions. Oh no, I have another one. What is your favorite Mexican dessert? I think that's a really easy one. It would have to be conchas. I don't have much of a sweet tooth, which is probably why you don't see me make a lot of desserts on this channel, is because I genuinely I don't crave sweet things a lot. But if it comes down to Mexican food and desserts, it is a concha. I have a video and I'll link it down below if you haven't seen that, where I kind of go through like like a little bit through the process of me learning how to make conchas really good. I feel like I'm still working on my concha recipe. It is so good so far. All of the people that have tasted it have told me that it's one of if not the best concha they've ever had, which makes me so happy because I've been working on the recipe for a long time, and it's just one of my favorite things. I love that it's like the bread itself is not sweet, and then there's like a sweet crust on the top. If you don't know what a concha is, it's a Mexican bread that has like a sweet strudel on the top, and it's just so good. And I think a lot of the conchas, what inspired me to learn this recipe and like perfect it on my own, was I've had some amazing conchas in Mexico. I'm specifically thinking of Restaurante El Cardenal in Mexico City. Oh, they have the best conchas I have ever had in my entire life. And I've had Enrique Olvera's conchas, and I promise you, Restaurante Cardenal is way better than his conchas. And they're perfection, like this beautiful fluffy bread and the sweetness, and you can tell that all the ingredients that they use is so good. And it reminds me of the conchas that I grew up eating in Guanajuato, in like the small bakeries before commercial ingredients were a thing, you know? And I've been trying to make that concha on my own forever because I don't think I've ever had a concha like that in the US. I think the recipe of conchas has sort of evolved into like a brioche concha, which is not what I grew up eating. And I think it is the other way of making it, the way that El Cardenal makes it, is this airy bread that I'm really trying to recreate. So if you haven't seen the video, I'll put it down below. It is so good. So conchas would be my favorite Mexican dessert. And the last question is, do you ever think of doing another Hot Ones stream? And I would love to join you. You're so sweet. So if you don't know, I used to do, for like a year and a half, I think, almost 2 years maybe, I did live streaming on YouNow, which is a platform for live streaming. It's one of, like, I think the oldest ones, if I remember correctly. And I was streaming like several times a week live cooking on there, and I would sometimes restream it to here. If you're a member of the channel here, you have access to all of those streams that were restreamed to YouTube. They're saved on there. It's only for members. And you can see all of those recipes that I did on there. But I haven't streamed on there for a long time. And there was one episode where I paired up with a couple of other streamers on the YouNow app, and we did a Hot Ones, our own versions of a Hot Ones episode. It wasn't all of the 10, hot sauces that they do, but it was several of them from their own website. So I ordered them from Hot Ones, and then we all did and ate hot wings. And you guys, it was not a fun time. It was a fun time, like, filming it and doing it, but it was not a fun time when I got off the video. It was really bad. My stomach was like, we are never doing that again. I thought I was gonna puke my entire insides out, and my cat. It was not very fun, but I did have fun filming it. Would I ever do it again? I think my original intention was for me to do it again. I haven't been on the YouNow app, and I don't plan to go back to the YouNow app for that. I'll consider it for doing one here on YouTube as a live stream. So if you want me to do, I'll tell you this. If we get enough people to comment down below, if you want to see me do another Hot Ones version episode with another streamer, let me know down below. I'm kind of scared to even say it. I think my stomach is immediately saying, like, don't do it. But maybe. And I think that was the last question. Let me just double check. Yeah, that was the last question that we had on here. So I'm going to leave you off with that. Stay tuned for a little bit of a conversation about what to expect on the cookbook on my next video. And I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me know when you like and don't like these videos. And let me know down below if there's something you want to see. We're getting ready to release season 10. It's coming up. There's a lot of really good recipes and videos on there with the variety of videos that you guys like to watch and you've told me lately that you're into. So stay tuned for that, and the cookbook coming out, and subscribe if you're not subscribed specifically to the newsletter too. We have merch on the channel now. I'll leave that link for the merch there too. There's all these ways, that you guys support the channel, and I appreciate it, whether that's purchasing merch or gifting here on YouTube or being a subscriber, being a member. If you don't know, we do have memberships where I share vlogs and things that I don't share on the channel in general or anywhere else. I just, those are all ways that you guys help us to continue making these videos, and I'm extremely grateful for it. I hope to be able to continue to share these recipes with you guys. And if there's something that you want to see from me, let me know down in the comments. And until next time, talk to you soon. Bye. Buen provecho.